Well, hello, hello. Thank you for joining me on another episode of A Sister's Trust. How's everybody doing today? Well, I'm here to we could actually bake this bread, right? We've been waiting on this part to bake the bread. We've been doing the sourdough bread all the way from the starter, all the way from kneading the bread into the pan, kneading the bread on the table, kneading the bread inside the bowl. There's so many different steps that we could not put in one video because it's also sitting and waiting time for 30 minutes. Here's my grandson, Kyrie, who's joining me today. Say hello, everybody.
Hello, everybody.
So he's like my little support for right now as I sit here and make this bread. So a few things I do want to say about everything. So I'm going to be cooking my bread in a Dutch oven. It's a pot, a special pot that's made for the oven because the oven going to be at 500. And so that sometimes it might be too hot to use in a glass dish for that degree. And so it's a special oven that has its own little pot made for that pot, and they call it a Dutch oven. And so when you cook your bread inside that Dutch oven, it's going to be at 500. Also, you're going to preheat your oven for an hour at 500 with the pan inside the pot and letting it all heat up. So be very careful when you go to take it out of the oven because it's already really hot. Another thing to think about is when you actually cooking your bread, it's going to cook inside that Dutch oven with the lid on for 20 minutes. Then you're going to remove your lid and you're going to cook additional 15 minutes and then that bread will be done. I want to throw something in because everybody don't have a Dutch oven. Some people have the loaf pans like these. And so when you using a loaf pan, this is going to be your lid, like so. Okay? And so when you're using these type of pans, you're going to put your, which I will put in the description at the bottom, you're going to put your oven at 450. Then when you take that lid off, you're going to put your bread at 425 for the additional. So when you cook it with the lid on, it's going to be at 450 for 30 minutes. Okay? And then when you take the lid off for this type of pan, for 15 minutes, you're going to cook it at 425. So I just want to put that in just in case if you're using a different type of pan, okay? Now, the last video we showed where we did all the kneading and everything up into the part of putting the bread into the refrigerator. And since I did 2 of them, I call myself being creative. And I did one with it has like the olive oil, it has the seasoning and the salt, just like you would go to those special restaurants. You know how you dip the bread into the oils. We have the oregano, and then I tasted with a little bit of salt to make sure it was good. But I'm going to cook that bread second, and that's a video I have with that. But I'm going to go ahead and do the plain one. I think it's this one. Okay, so this has already been pulled out of the refrigerator. And so with this dough, was you all excited? He's excited like he's getting ready to eat it right now, but we still have to cook it, right? So with this one, see how it looks when it comes out of the refrigerator? So now, and also when I let my oven preheat, I went ahead and took this out and just sat it on my counter, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get what they call the parchment paper, because this is going to cook inside of that oven. And what you're going to do is you're going to cover the top of the paper, top of your bread, your dough, with the parchment paper. And you're going to cut a little bit of it.
Ooh, Grandma, what's it making?
I'm showing them how to cut the paper to put on top of their dough. Okay, so once you put it on top of your dough, you're going to get your dough and lift it, and you're going to flip it on top of your paper. Okay? So once you flip it on top of the paper, you're going to get it and you're just going to take your cloth off. See how nice that dough looks?
Ooh.
Look how nice that is. Now from there, you're gonna, excuse me, 1 second. Now from there, I'm gonna cut my little design in now. You can cut any type of design you want into your bread, like the ones that's doing the loaf pan. Sometimes they cut a line down the middle, do the little X or whatever the little design you want to have. But for this one, I'm just gonna use my little knife. Now I really would, I'm gonna invest into like a little razor knife that's a little sharper. But I'm just gonna get it, hold my hand on top, and I'm just gonna cut like a little hole in the surface on the side. It's gonna give like that little rise. You know how you see the bread with the little rise and then you have the bottom to it? So that's what I'm gonna do for this bread here. And so I'm just cutting into the dough. Nothing big. Sometimes it's almost like you're fighting with it and everything. You know, just take your time. You shape it and then molding it. Now, one thing that I should have done, because now I'm kind of moving a little bit, I should have dusted my hands a little bit because I think I'm so busy watching what I'm doing with my grandson. I should have had, I should have had dusted my hands a little bit with some of that flour.
Example pizza so big. It's gonna do his job. Ooh, pizza. A pizza.
Excuse me.
Aiden. Hey, Aiden. She did the pizza or Aiden?
He ran off the cell making pizza, but that's not what I'm doing, as y'all know. So I'm getting ready. I'm gonna go over and I'm gonna move the bread to where the hotness is with the stuff. So I'll be right back. Okay guys, now I'm gonna go ahead and grab my dough and bring it over here to the stove. So it's on that parchment paper like I showed you, okay? So this is the part you got to be careful because that, like I said, that oven has been on 500 for an hour preheating my Dutch oven, okay? So make sure you have your gloves and everything. And also you want to have like a little bowl of water, or you might have a spray bottle, which I'll bet I get a spray bottle by the time I keep this up. Because you're going to mist over your dough once it's in the hot pan, and what it's going to do is going to give a lot of moisture to your bread, okay? Excuse me. Another thing I want to tell you is that I have 2 rows that I'm cooking on, and so on the bottom row I'm putting like a cookie sheet on there, and what that's going to do is help the bread to not get as brown, to keep the bread from getting too brown on the bottom as it's cooking. Okay? Excuse me, Kyrie. Kyrie, okay. Excuse me. Like I said, this is very hot.
Okay. Okay. Now, it's so very hot. Oh! It's so hot.
It's so hot, it's even making my pot like it's turning color. Okay? Okay, excuse me.
Oh.
Ooh, look at that steam coming out of there. So now, what you want to do is, what you want to be very careful is put that paper with your dough inside of your pot. Bring y'all over and show you how it's looking. See how it's inside? Okay, and then you want to get a little bit of water, and what it's going to do is make a little moisture for your bread and your dough, and just get your hands and just kind of, I don't know if you can hear it sizzling. Okay. And like I said, you're gonna cook with the lid on for 20 minutes at 500. So I'm gonna go ahead and set my timer.
Pizza. What's not working? Oh.
If you have kids running around, make sure you're paying attention that you're not grabbing stuff. Okay. Now I'm gonna put it back into the oven for those 20 minutes. So that gives you 20 minutes of freedom to do whatever you want to and everything. So we're gonna be back for the next section. Okay, there it goes. The 20-minute timer has went off. So now it's time to adjust your oven to 475, and also you're gonna cook the bread with the lid off for 15 minutes. So let's do that. So let me just go ahead and take the lid off. Remember, gloves. Woo, hot. Not even gonna be bothered. It's coming up good. Let's see. So now it's just got 15 more minutes to cook, and so I need to change my stove to 475. Okay, that's done, and I need to put on 15 minutes. There you go, 15 more minutes, and then we'll see what we have. All right, and like they say, do they say patience is a virtue? Well, you got to have patience to get something good, right? All right, 15 minutes. Okay, guys, the timer just went off. Let's see what we got. It's been the whole cooking time of 20 and 15. So what is that? 35 minutes. So let's see. So remember, the last 15 minutes was cooked with the lid off. Ooh, that's hot. At 475. Okay. So now let's see what we have. I'm gonna pull it out of the pan. See if I could do this without my gloves a little bit. Well, let me move it over. You could tell that the paper really cooked too and everything. Remember, it's hot, but I want to show you of how everything is going. All right, so let's see what we have. Ooh, nice and hot. But look at that. And see, remember, from putting that pan at the bottom, it keeps it from getting too brown at the bottom. And there you go. You can see the bread a little bit up closer. So remember, you're going to cook in your oven with the lid on for 20 minutes at 500. And then you're going to take the lid off for 15 minutes at 475. And that's your end results. Okay, thank you guys for just really being with me, having patience, working on this sourdough bread. And so, like I said, take it in your own hands and be creative and make a good meal for your family. Thank you for joining me on the Sisters Trust. Please subscribe and share me with your friends. Have a great day.